All right, welcome to the coffee break. This is episode number 80. Actually, we had one coffee break 2 weeks ago, and I was out with the DevCons, and I think we missed recording that one, but no, it's all good. Let's keep the numbers counting. Welcome again. I think I met a couple of you at DevCon. I remember Alex, Luis, and did I miss anyone that I met last coffee break? In San Francisco or Munich. It was very nice meeting you. Very nice meeting you. And so, as usual, the coffee break is very open space. Any questions or topics that you have, please bring up. Open your microphone, open your camera, and let's see. Any interesting projects going on this week, last 2 weeks?
Doing coffee?
I know that we have lots and lots of new stuff that came during DevCon. Lots of interesting presentations on GraphQL, data models, also the data model data model and GraphQL was the highest topic because we had that on many of the sessions. We did also show some on the authentication piece that was on one of my classes. There was lots of not technical business classes as well. I like those as well because it's interesting to see how Autodesk behaves. But yeah, I want to spend more time with you with your questions and your projects. Let me get something interesting here.
Hello, Augusto.
Yes, hi.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Doing well, yourself?
Yes, good. Yeah. No, actually, it's pretty interesting, the GraphQL. I mean, I have been with the team in the beginning, and we have tried it and integrated at, let's say, in a way to integrate it in our at the company. So yeah, but unfortunately, it ran only in Revit 2024. So most of our files is running below that version. So yeah, we're looking forward to upgrade so we can take full advantage of it. But now the project I'm working on and the project I'm going to present in AU, I will show like how we used it to aggregate files from different folder from different projects at the same time, and for instance put them together like so it'll be much easier in a normal REST API. So it was really beautiful how you call it a business case for us, because back then it takes us forever to catch all the files from different sources, but now me personally, I've been using GraphQL maybe the past 5-6 years with Apollo server, so it was super good when it comes at the it fixed the pain, as they say. Yeah, but I would like to ask a question, which is I never heard if it's APS could help how to publish an application in BIM 360.
You are on mute, Augusto.
Yeah, I know. You said the question is how to publish an application in BIM 360?
Yeah, exactly. So in BIM 360, you can use a plugin. So I was reading a little bit. It seems there is a way, but I couldn't figure it out. I mean, it seems like I'm not sure if APS, using APS, we can build these plugins, because there is a market place where you can maybe use some stuff for free, some stuff you pay, like similar to Revit add-ins.
Yeah. So okay. So when inside BIM 360, inside ACC, you have a way to very just enable an app on your account that's available. Your app can go there. The way to start publishing is the same as you do on the App Store. So just go to the App Store. If you scroll all the way down, there is Autodesk Developers, right? So if you click here and follow the process here, you can publish your app on the App Store, and at some point here, you can just ask to be published in the in-product app store. So if I switch to ACC and I go to account admin, I believe it should be apps. Yeah, right here. May take a moment, but yeah, you see those apps here. I think that's the one we were talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure it out. Like, should I build my source code? And I don't know the process because I
Yeah.
mean, I have, let's say, my code in GitHub, and
Yeah.
what next?
So the app here, the app is, you run the app. This is just a gallery of those apps, right? So as an example, right, this 360 sync, Agave API, all those things are run on their own server, and we are just linking to it. So there is some integration going on, but in summary, we don't run, you run the app, and we just link from here with some specific APIs.
Okay. So if there is any documentation shows how to do this.
Yeah. So apps.autodesk.com, all the way down, developers.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just follow these steps.
Yeah, I'll take it from there.
You'd have to authenticate and then prepare your information, and no, it's a
Great, great.
publishing
Yeah,
process.
super. It'd be so nice also to build something nice for the community. I mean, because
Yeah. So
thanks.
the apps there you run it, right? Now, if you want to do something that, no, it's an open source thing, then that's not, well, that could be it as well, but you can also have an open source if you want. But that's it's just a different process, right? If you want to do
Okay.
open source. But yeah, should work.
Yeah, super. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah,
Augusto.
yeah, hi, Navin. Just before we go, before we move, John was
Sure.
sharing a link here. That's the how you can be part of the partner program for ACC, right? Which is it's similar, but it's a bit more. There's more here, right? Let's say you have your application doesn't really connect with, but it's something that is a partner that can also work. But yeah, thanks, John. So if you have an app, then that's the App Store. But yeah, Naveen, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. So I started my application like about like a month back. I downloaded the sample from which is a .NET application, and I had it set up. I got everything working. Had some challenges, but then later I moved to AWS Lambda. I have it all set up as serverless. Do you have customers who have set it up in Lambda? If it is, since it's serverless, do you foresee any challenges that I may face, or there's none?
So if I'm getting right, you are asking if Lambda there is any concerns when developing an application?
If for Forge, that is, I'm using that for design automation. Do you think there would be any challenges, or there should be none?
Well, first, Lambda and serverless, it's quite an interesting approach, right? So for those who don't know, the idea is that you don't actually have a server running your app. You have your code somewhere, and that's just for others, right? So you have your code there compiled, and whenever you request that to execute something, Lambda will start a machine, start a container or something that will run your code, right? So as far as Autodesk is concerned, we don't really know if it's Lambda or not, right? It doesn't really matter. So there is no problem. There is no concern there. The only thing that you should keep in mind is that for webhooks, right? So if you have a Lambda that has a very low cold start, or hot start is usually very fast, but cold start can take a few seconds, right? So in that case, when we call you back via webhooks, we should respond as fast as you can, because otherwise we may assume that it's not there. I don't remember exactly what the time is. I believe it's 5 seconds that the response, or a couple seconds. So the only thing is that I would suggest is that if you're listening to webhooks, you should either move away from Lambda or have a very, very fast code start, very fast. just to get the message and acknowledge, right? And then you process later. But have a queuing system that will handle the webhooks really, really fast. But that's not only Autodesk, right? That's everyone. Every time you have a system calling you back, calling your system, you should always respond, okay, I got the message, I will process it later, right? Because if you don't, the calling system will call you, will try again.
Yeah.
And if they try again, it may confuse your queuing, right?
Yeah. So the plan is to deploy the Lambda through Amazon SQS, the queuing service.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that is better in terms of time webhooks. And the way I've set it up, so what times do you think I would need to use a webhook? So is it like when the work item is done, things like that, or when exactly do you think that I need to call back?
Yeah, so for design automation, you get a callback, right? The chances are that callback, that the time you got the callback, you're probably on a hot start, not on a cold start, because you already started the item, right? But that's the callback. It's an important piece, and yeah, so that's not a webhook, but it's a webhook
Got it.
in a way that it's a callback, right? So
Uh-huh.
yeah, be sure to acknowledge as fast as you can.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
On complete callback, it basically performs, I believe, 4 or 5 attempts. For example, if your server answers with 500 something error, it tries in a second, in 2, 4, and 8 seconds after.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so the challenge there is that if you don't acknowledge and we try again, that second call may mess up with your queue, right? Because you're trying to process that thing twice. And so it's always important to acknowledge first and process later.
Got it. So if there was another route, which is like through the Docker image, and then containerize, and then deploy, our existing systems are running in AWS Fargate. So having a Docker image run through Fargate. So do you think that process is faster, or a .NET application through a server that is faster in terms of webhook?
I wouldn't know that much, right? You'd have to try, or maybe find someone that knows the differences there. I'm not very much an expert on those. So my only suggestion and my only point, sorry, is about Lambda or anything that takes longer to start, because then we have that problem. So I know that something similar used to happen on Heroku, right? So they have a cold and a hot start, right? So the cold start may take a few seconds, and that's where the callback may be rejected, right? With a timeout.
Okay, got it.
So keep in mind that slow responding is not a problem as long as you don't exceed, I think it's 5 seconds. But it's a lot, right? So if you do Lambda, Lambda is usually fast enough. If you do it with Node.js or Python, .NET may take 1 or 2 seconds, but I would have to read the documentation. Another option would be to have a Lambda just for callback that is very small and very fast, right? Because otherwise you have to cold start the whole application. That may take long. So you may be able to optimize there. But anyway, in the end of the day, those things it's a mix of the system and your code. So your code needs to be fast enough, and the system needs to be fast enough. But that's only for callbacks, right?
Got it. And the Lambda, I rewrote everything in Python.
Okay, yeah. I think the two fastest option in Lambda are Python and the second is Node.js. But that was a long time when I checked it, right? Maybe they improve it a lot and doesn't make any difference now.
Okay. I'll test it out and find out the results.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, interesting project. Why did you choose Lambda for that?
I was using .NET, and I haven't done web development, so I got exposed to AWS Lambda and all the SQS, and it was easier integration, getting objects from S3 and all the debugging with the logging system. It was all much easier, and also it's serverless. So yeah, I have both working on the .NET and Lambda. So I think if I have any roadblocks, maybe I can have a fallback plan, but it just makes my debugging and all this process much faster in Lambda. And it's also a live editor, so I can just code within that editor that they have.
Cool. Interesting. Thank you. I think my first project with Lambda was 2018 or 17. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So talking about run on the cloud, 2 weeks ago, we started a call for feedback with Dynamo. So this is quite interesting because it's design automation as well, right? So you can run a design automation job, and inside that job, or the work item, sorry, you can have a Dynamo script, and in Revit, so you open this special plugin, open your script, and design automation will execute that for you and give you the results of the Dynamo execution. So it's quite flexible, and but it's almost like running the Dynamo engine in the cloud, but you run that with on top of Revit, right? So you load Revit, you load Dynamo, load your script, execute, and it's quite interesting. If you haven't seen it, or if you are curious about it, there is a call for feedback that does include the executables, right? So you can run it on your end and see the results. So Moses is asking if it does save the results back to the Revit file. Well, anything that you do with Dynamo, you can do here, right? So it's the same Revit in design automation, and it's the same Dynamo, but running on top of design automation. The only thing is the version, which is 2.8 of Dynamo. So, but as long as you have a Dynamo script for that version of Dynamo, and the Revit file should work. And also you need Revit 2024 engine only, right? So yeah, so Moses, yes, you can save back to Revit, but keep in mind that this is it's not a live editing, right? So you open Revit, you load the file in the plugin, and you execute and then save back. So it will be a version +1 on your original source. So anyone else using Dynamo here? I know Luis is using it, but because he saw his video.
Yeah, it has. I don't know if that's the same bundle, but yeah.
I believe it is. I saw that you publish a source code, the source code for that, right? So everything here is open source, actually. The only thing that we're doing is that we have this special commit or PR that should be live or organized soon. But I believe it's the same. Yeah, and could be interesting. Moses, are you using Dynamo?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I used to use Dynamo pretty frequently, but I got a little frustrated that it could not access the Revit files on ACC or back then it was BIM 360. And so this is a little bit intriguing to me that it would be possible to combine design automation for Revit with Dynamo. I actually started to use Dynamo to connect through REST API. There were some packages back then that would allow you to access your BIM 360 through the API, but you could never save the results into the Revit file. So that's why I asked the question, because there were things that I wanted to do, like update project information, the project information in the Revit file using Dynamo, but these items couldn't be shared unless you manually open the Revit file and do it manually. So this is very interesting opportunity.
Cool. Yeah, give it a try and let us know if there's anything to be improved there. All right, I'm talking too much. Anything else interesting going on?
I'm curious, Augusto, like, I know there's the idea of some things being computationally expensive. I guess I won't know until I test the Dynamo feature myself, but I'm just wondering at what point would the Dynamo graph have too many operations in it or too many functions in it to justify doing this through design for automation? Like at what point does it just fail or overtax the system? I don't know if anyone has experimented that much with.
So just a couple comments there, right? So design automation is the same Revit, and here in this case is the same Dynamo you have on your desktop, right? The only difference is that is headless, right? And because it is headless, we don't need that much compute power to run the UI, right? We can only run the core system. The Revit engine that runs on design automation, it's comparable to a high-end machine. We know that we are getting some feedback that the engine is not as good as newer high-end machines. So eventually we're going to upgrade that as well. Now, that said, right, if you can run it locally, you in theory can also run it on design automation. If you have a very, very powerful machine, that will be a bit slower, right? But again, as I said, we're going to update that in the future. If it gets too complicated or too heavy, you can just specify a higher timeout and make sure that your code has more and more heartbeat pieces, right? So the only time when we kill a design automation work item is if your system is not responding for more than, I don't know, a minute, I guess. So if your code is processing and is always saying, no, I'm alive, no, the heartbeat thing, it should be fine. You can run as long as you want, right? You can just specify longer timeout. I believe the highest is 24 hours. But just make sure that your code is doing a heartbeat every now and then to avoid the system killing it. Make sense?
Yes, yeah, makes sense. I'm definitely going to give that a try in Revit 2024. I imagine a lot of things we can do with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, Augusto.
So do you know what is this heart thing, right? That I mentioned.
Yes, the
Yes.
timeout function.
Hello?
Stable. Yeah. Go ahead, Luis.
Augusto, I'm thinking about design automation and have the preview, especially in November, because we're gonna change to NetCore.
There is a announcement that the desktop products, AutoCAD, Revit, are moving to .NET 6, maybe 7 or 8. But that will only come to design automation once those products are released. So it may take more than that.
Does not have a way to have a design automation preview or something? Because I'm using in my, so I could, instead of download the preview in a virtual machine or something, I could use design automation to run tests in there that I'm using today. So
that's a good point, right? We should explore that. We haven't done design automation beta version of the desktop engines, right? We could explore that. Yeah, we would have to check if that's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting. Yeah.
Hi, Augusto. One more question. I have the app working for one app bundle, right? So next I want to make sure that it works for like multiple app bundles, so I can trigger the app bundle. So in terms of activity, is one activity should reference one app bundle? Is that correct?
I believe one activity can reference more app bundles.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
The idea is that you can compose activities with as many bundles as you need to execute that code, right? And then you have different bundles for different pieces of your code.
Okay. I'll test it out. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what the inventor design automation demo is doing as well. So it's one activity is using multiple app bundles. One is just updating the drawing. The other one is generating a PDF out of it. There's another one generating SVF, and they can just combine it into one work item.
Okay, sweet.
Do you have a blog on that, Adam? You have blogs on lots of things. You remember?
Well, we have a blog post on the sample itself.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm trying to see the documentation here where it says yeah, so I'm looking at the documentation, Naveen, and just to confirm, right? You see that I'm on the post activity
Uh-huh.
where I create an activity, and the bundle is an array, so you can say multiple bundles. Just if you have any samples for that, but bundle, see, it's an array of code that you run with that.
So I just have to pass the different IDs for the app bundles here, and it
Yeah,
should-
the different bundles, right? So it's always nickname, bundle name, and then alias.
Okay, got it. Okay. So it should execute in that order.
No, well, this is just you telling Design Automation to load all those bundles, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the one that you specify here, that's the one to, sorry, not here, here, right? That's the one that will load first,
Hmm.
and that will execute, and you may load the others. But depending on what you have, those bundles will load differently, right? So let's say if you have an AutoCAD engine, right? You have to specify the instructions that has the commands that you want to execute.
Hmm.
So the commands will actually tell you the order to execute them, right? So
Uh-huh.
that varies by engine, how the system will execute those bundles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For instance, Revit, you have the application load event, right? So if you have multiple bundles, those will execute as well. So you probably have to have different ways to handle that. Are you using Revit or AutoCAD or
Revit.
Inventor? Revit. So yeah, probably you need one application load event, and then from there you call the others. So to make sure that they are called on the proper order.
And the calling order should be from the command line here. Is that correct?
Well, there is no command line for Revit, right? Sorry, not this is the one that will load, right? But then you can have others load in the DLLs, but those do not have the command, the application load event.
Okay. Do we have any documentation for like a multiple app bundles?
We should that should be document should be here, but I'm not sure if you have a sample on that.
Okay.
Probably had tried to prepare something on that area. I don't think we do. We should probably have one in the building coder blog. You have to look at it. Okay. So Naveen, can you please, if you want to follow up on that, right, send a message to aps.help@autodesk.com, and you can definitely dig a bit more for you.
Okay. Sure.
Yep. So aps.help@autodesk.com, and then we can reach you back. And
APS.help. at autodesk.com.
Let me write down aps.help. Okay, so with that, we are just on time. So thank you very much for joining the coffee break today. As usual, the next coffee break will be in 2 weeks, same time, same link on October 4th, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I'll be post the recording. And thank you very much for joining. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.